Hello and welcome back to yet another episode of Mathghamhain Morsels. This one, episode 40, I believe. And it is again going to be in a Sanguine Start series. And we're going to deal with something that a lot of people have eaten, not many people seem to enjoy, and that is the humble Brussels sprout. So I'm going to show you guys how I learned how to make Brussels sprouts just by giving it a go, and it was absolutely delicious, so I do this most of the time that I make it. It requires just a handful of ingredients. So I have onion, which is one small to medium-sized sweet onion. Mushrooms, you can choose whatever type you want to use. Today I'm using some shiitake. Of course, Brussels sprouts, which I've cut up into small bite-sized pieces. And then bacon, because it just does wonders with damn near everything. The fattiness, the saltiness, the smokiness just play in with everything else here. And then, of course, your additional seasonings. You can throw in garlic, you can throw in some salt, some pepper if you like pepper. I don't like pepper, so I won't be throwing in any, but I'll probably be hitting it with a bit of salt as I cook. But that's all going to be to taste. So, how exactly do I make this? Well, let's pop over to my kitchen, and I'll show you guys how I make it. Okay, so here we are in my kitchen. Yes, I know that my voice is a bit softer now, but that's just because I still don't have a good lapel mic. If anyone knows about a good lapel mic that I should go for, please let me know. But first thing that's going to go into my hot cast iron skillet is going to be the bacon. And I want this to get a bit crisp, or not really start crisp, because I'm going to be cooking this as I go. But I want this to start rendering down a little bit, let that fat out, that absolutely beautiful bacon fat. That will just flavor the rest of the meal. So, the rest of the dish, I suppose. So just going to get that in and mix it around a bit. Make sure that it doesn't stick to the bottom, and just let the fat start to cool in the very bottom of the pan a bit. Like I said, you don't have to worry about getting it crispy at this point. You can get it crispy and then pull it out and throw everything else in after the bacon's come out, or you can just do this in stages, adding some stuff in after the bacon has rendered a little bit, like I'm going to be doing tonight. And you can just hear that amazing bacon sizzle. At least hopefully you guys will be able to hear it. And it looks like the bacon fat is pretty good at the moment. Just want to give this a couple more moments. I want to get a little bit of color, but I'm not looking to really crisp the bacon. Again, if you want really crispy bacon, what you do is you toss your bacon in, you crisp it up, then you pull the bacon out, and then you start adding in everything else, and continue on from there, adding the bacon in at the end. But for me, I don't mind a little bit of chew to the bacon, so I'm not going for really crispy bacon in this dish. I just need to get a little bit of coloration. Because again, it's a Maillard reactions, that salt and fat and heat reacting together, just building an amazing flavor. I'm starting to get a little bit of that Maillard reaction coloration. This bacon that I'm using is a really good triple smoked bacon. Doesn't matter what type of bacon it is, you can use your preferred bacon. You just want it to be a fairly thick cut. That way it holds up a bit better. Is a nice little bite in this dish rather than just something that is there, flavored the dish, but kind of ends up disappearing. So there we go. The bacon looks good. So next in is going to be the onion. And we're going to give the onion just a slight head start on the star of the show, the Brussels sprouts. But you want to get it in a little bit before the Brussels sprouts every time. That's enough time before the Brussels sprouts get added. And you want to add these in really early on, because if you don't, there's no way that they're going to cook through all of them. But by adding them in now, mixing them in, making sure that they get time down at the bottom, down in the heat, they should cook through without any problem. If you use a larger skillet than the one I am, or you do it in smaller batches, then you can get some more coloration on the individual ingredients. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Either way, it tastes fantastic. And as it first starts to cook, that green just really becomes insanely green as it cooks. Depending on how long you cook it, how well done you like your Brussels sprouts. Some people like them pretty much gray and cooked to shit. I don't cook my Brussels sprouts that way. I want them tender, delicious, and flavorful. But yeah, this needs a little bit of time just so those Brussels sprouts can start cooking through, because the mushroom that I'm going to be adding does not need all that much time. And the bacon's still cooking up. The onion is cooking up a little bit. So you'll see the onion's colors change as this cooks. You just want to, every now and then, get in there and give it a stir. You can let it sit for a bit, but don't let it sit too long, or else it won't cook evenly. You'll have bits at the bottom that are much darker, got a lot more time at the bottom of the pan, cooked through a bit more than everything else on top. And this is going to need a fair bit of salt today. Sometimes I use a really salty bacon, and it doesn't need much. Sometimes my bacon isn't quite as salty and it needs some more. This time I'm using a beautiful triple smoked bacon. which has a good amount of smoky flavor, of course, due to the triple smoky. But it isn't as salt heavy as a number of the bakings that I use. And I'm adjusting the temperature up and down. So I started on a medium-low, heating up my cast iron. And I've been just dialing it up, dialing it back down a little bit. So currently it's at a medium-high, but that's something you kind of need to play with your stovetop to know what temperature you need your pans at. Because I have used a bunch of different types of stovetops. Each marking is very different. Like on this one, if I go to high heat, that becomes damn near surface of the sun level heat. So the only time that I ever use that is when I'm trying to get water up to the boil. And there's a number of ways that you can see how long you need to cook when it comes to Brussels sprouts. The easiest is seeing how hard it is to stab into your Brussels sprout. You don't want the fork to go straight through unless you want your Brussels sprouts really well done. But you don't want to have to really bear down on your fork to stab through life. Now is going to be a good time to start adding a bit of salt. So I'm going to add some red alele, Hawaiian sea salt. Again, use whatever salt you like. You can use table salt. I did that a bunch of times when I was making this when I was younger and didn't have access to the interesting salts that I have now. Or if you have access to an interesting salt, there you go. Use it. It's delicious. And it tweaks the flavor in interesting ways. So it's reached the point where I can start adding in my mushrooms. Give this a mix around again. Because again, you want this all to get down into the heat fairly often. You don't want to just have the stuff at the bottom stay at the bottom or else you get a really inconsistent cook. And you can do a bunch of things with this. You can add, I'm going to be adding a little bit of vinegar, just to add a bit of tartness to this. You can add some additional liquid if you want. I've added in some whiskey, I've added in some cider, I've added in a bit of wine to make sure that it has some of the same flavors as my main for that night. Turn down my heat. And let's see. I'll do just a bit of red wine vinegar tonight. It just adds that nice bit of acidity to this dish that really brings out the flavors. That's one thing that a lot of people when they're cooking don't think about enough. Including acid into what you're making, it heightens a lot of flavors. But so few people will add a splash of vinegar in this dish or in that dish. But don't be afraid about it. So don't add vinegar to everything, of course, because it would be a bit weird if you added vinegar to a chocolate cake, for example. But adding vinegar into a saute, it just adds that little salt. Okay, so that's about done. So I will join you guys back at the desk once it's entirely done and ready to plate up. Like I said, keep tasting it. See if it needs some more salt or if it needs a bit more vinegar, some pepper, whatever seasonings you're using. Taste it throughout. See if it needs it. Okay, so here we are back at my desk with this fantastic saute out and done. So let's... This absolutely needed that little bit of acid. It just freshened up everything. And plays so wonderfully with the smoky saltiness of the bacon, those beautiful fresh Brussels sprouts, umami notes of the mushroom and the sweetness of the onion. Everything just marries together in this amazing flavor. Like I said, if I'm making Brussels sprouts, 9 times out of 10 I'm doing it this way. It's a really early recipe that I made up, and it's absolutely amazing. God damn, that's delicious. So, I realize I told you how much onion I used, but I didn't tell you guys how much Brussels sprouts or mushroom. So, with the one small to medium sweet onion that I used, I did about one of my handfuls, so this massive paw of a hand, of Brussels sprouts. And about the same quantity of my shiitake mushrooms. And then only about 4 rashers of bacon. And it makes a fairly decent amount of this side dish. It's absolutely delicious. None of the flavors tried to fight each other. They all just marry together in an absolutely brilliant way. So, give this a go. Especially if you don't like Brussels sprouts normally. See if you like them this way. Because they stay nice and fresh with that little bit of acid, just upping the fresh taste of them. And they taste like any other, well, not like any other. They taste like a lot of the more mild cruciferous vegetables that people tend to have an easier time eating. Still that nice earthiness. And just... Man, I'm getting lost actually trying to explain this dish. Because it's just damn good. So give this a go. See if you like it this way. If you do, let me know. And we're going to have probably about another, I'd say 3 videos in the Sanguine Start series. And I'm going to have the feast stream at the end of the series this Sunday. So come check that out. I'll be doing my fajita recipe, which is delicious if you like cilantro. If you don't like cilantro, probably not the meal for you. But with that, go out, try something new, try a different recipe, try different salts, different seasonings. If there's a protein that you haven't had before, give it a go. Go out, explore food, explore flavors, enjoy your food and enjoy your life. And with that, have a good one all. See you in the next video.